Friends, first of all, thank you very much for the kind of response I got for the first of my podcast, audio podcast uh, in the morning. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to talk about the war between Twitter and the Indian government. Well, it has been going on for quite a while. Yesterday, Honorable IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad's Twitter account was locked for an hour. And this was informed to the people by the Honorable Minister himself by tweeting in a thread. He also mentioned the reason behind the locking of his Twitter account. He mentioned that the account was locked under the US law. Well, I understand by this is that, or my understanding of this is that Twitter is poking and trying to know what could be the reaction of the government and the people of this country. It wants to see how the people are reacting and what the government would do. And as far as the people who love the country or who are the nationalists or who support Modi are naturally angry over the IT minister for not acting, coming down heavily upon Twitter. It is not. It is quite natural. They will get angry because they are also, in some way or the other, have been victims of Twitter's high-handedness. Even I wrote a piece in India Speaks Daily. I was so angry that I began the article with a question posed to the Honorable IT Minister, asking him, "What are you doing? You are the authority, you have all the power, you also have the new IT law to take action." Well, that was out of anger. I wrote that piece asking him or questioning his inaction. But if I was in his place, I would have done the same thing. India is a democracy and is the largest democracy, and the whole world is keeping an eye on what India does and how India is doing economically, politically, democratically. It is just because of the leadership of Narendra Modi that the world is taking note of India, of what they are doing politically, and most importantly, economically. Therefore, India is moving in the eyes of the world. And at this point of time, when the world is facing, some countries are facing the second wave, some of them are on the verge of facing the third wave of COVID pandemic. The world, or the many countries, the US, Europe, the Asian countries, are angry over China for mishandling and delaying the information about the virus which escaped. Well, there are several theories, but until we know the truth, it's better we say it escaped the Wuhan laboratory and it spread. China was keeping this as a secret. But due to the efforts of former US President Donald Trump with his investigation agencies, including the military agency, got some leads about the culpability of China of creating the virus and using it as a bioweapon. And to go deep into this, Mr. Joe Biden, the new US president, has asked his investigation or investigating agencies to go deep and investigate whether Trump's theory that the COVID virus was created by China in Wuhan lab and it was used as the bioweapon. And Joe Biden ordered for investigation only after the world governments put pressure seeking investigation into this theory. So you must understand that the whole world, there are 7 to 8 continents, if I am right, are against China. They are not only complaining about China creating the virus, but also are raising issues of human rights violations in Xinjiang province, of how they treat Muslims in that province. And China also very well knows that in future, if the European countries and the US or the Quad alliance, if they plan to attack or declare a war against China and be successful, they can be successful only with the participation of India. So India is inevitable for the Western country to triumph over China. So what China would do? So China has to do something about India. They are facing allegations of human rights violation, being not being a democratic country or dictatorial country or communist country, one party rule country. More or less it is a fascist government which they do not have a democratic setup. They are facing all these allegations. And India being an inevitable country for the Western countries to triumph over China, they are planning, they are doing all their bit. They are making all the efforts to also damage the reputation of India. And therefore you see they want to portray India as a fascist or Hindu fascist government, Hindu fascist government ruling the country, who are violating human rights of the Muslims. Therefore, you see anti CAA agitation, and also they have funded, or they are funding the fake anti-farmers agitation. And Twitter is an arm of deep state of United States of America. And that deep state has illicit relationship with China, the Communist Party of China. And we all know China has funded most of the applications, the digital application startups and businesses, and also Twitter. So they are also using the social media to damage the image of India or this Narendra Modi government, and one among the biggest is Twitter. They're trying to portray through Twitter that the Indian government is fascist, the Indian government is anti-people, the Indian government is anti-Muslim. This is the strategy. And let us assume that the Narendra Modi government bans Twitter, then what happens? Then all this left liberal cabal, anti India brigade, anti Hindu brigade, they will start playing Duffly and paint India as fascist, undemocratic, dictatorial. So Twitter is laying a trap. And I believe that the Narendra Modi government is aware of this. They don't want to fall in the trap of China and spoil their image at a time when the whole world is angry over China. So, what I'm trying to say is that as an individual outside the government, it is quite natural that you get angry over the inaction, apparent inaction of the Indian government against Twitter. But if you look from their angle, it appears that China is laying a trap through Twitter and other agencies to portray India as a fascist government, a dictatorial government. So let's see how the government of India tackles Twitter. There are many ways to tackle Twitter, and one we are already seeing. The case is being heard in the court. Of course, some journalists have got bail, that is a legal process. But something has been done, and it's not that Twitter has not suffered. Twitter has suffered in the stock market. So there are ways to teach Twitter. And I will not be surprised that this government at the center would time and again screw the happiness of Twitter. So, listeners, have patience. Trust Modi and trust his government. Thanks for listening. Thank you very much.